Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today's video I'm just going to kind of talk to you, let you know who I am, what this channel is about, why I decided to go to Korea, all kinds of different things. First of all, my name is Kristen. I'm 30 years old, if you can believe that. I am currently a junior in college, which makes me a non-traditional student by all sense of the word. I've only got a year and a half left to go though, so I'm really excited about that. And basically, I decided that I wanted to move to Korea, and the only way to get a work visa in Korea is to have a bachelor's degree. So that actually prompted me to make the decision to go back to school and do my education. I'll probably talk a lot more about that in a separate video because it's pretty in-depth as to my journey with education so far in my life, why I quit for a while, why I went back, where I ended up going. Right now, I'm currently at the University of Rochester, although I am studying remotely due to COVID, so everything I'm doing is online. Hopefully next year I'll be able to be on campus. That is the goal, but right now I am in Alabama. I'll talk a little bit about my journey as far as getting to Alabama, because I've only been here for this school year. This is actually where my parents live, so I'm only here for the year and then I'll be moving again. But yeah, so why Korea, right? So that's probably going to be the biggest question for most of you. And my decision to move to Korea specifically was not, I think, what most people would expect. First of all, I got really interested in Asian history when I was about 14 years old. I've always been a really big history person in general. I've watched National Geographic since I can remember, basically. And I've always been really fascinated by other cultures. And when I was 14, I actually discovered foreign television. So that includes, yes, K-dramas and Chinese dramas and all of that, but also Portuguese shows and French shows. And I just was exposed to a lot of different languages and cultures through watching a lot of their television. From there, I actually originally gravitated more towards Japanese. You know, a lot of my friends were really into anime. I heard it a lot more. And I was thinking that might be somewhere where I'd at least want to go for like an extended visit, which is something I still would like to do, at least visit Japan. But I never really had any intention of living there. Now, I did want to live in a foreign country, basically ever since I can remember. The idea of really experiencing another culture is something that I value really strongly. I think that, you know, I've moved a lot in my life. I've lived in 19 cities in 8 states or some ridiculous thing like that. And I think that every time that I have moved, I've learned something new about myself and about other people's cultures and heritage, and I've met people from all over the world, and I've really had my eyes opened in pretty unique ways because I haven't been stuck in like a small town in Oregon, for example, like some of my family have been. So I feel like that's just been an invaluable experience for me. And knowing it could even be better if I was just surrounded in a culture that's really different from what we experience here in America, that's something that I want to do. Sorry, my dogs. Dogs, stop. My dogs decided to get really playful and now they're hitting the lights. Dogs, go! Get out of here. And we're back. Yeah, so studying in a foreign country, I think when you are surrounded by that culture, you really learn what it's about, right? Like you learn where it came from, the history of it, the foods that are integral to the culture. Why is, you know, a hand motion in America, why does it mean one thing but it means something completely different in another culture? Or the dating scene and why and how drastically that's grown different over the last few years. And there's just so much that you can never really know about a place or a culture or people until you live with them and you hear from them what it's like to live there and grow up there. So that's always been a goal of mine. It's an experience that I desperately want to have. So from there, it was really just a matter of choosing where I wanted to go, when I wanted to go there, when I could get there. I did not grow up in a wealthy home. I've been pretty poor my whole life. So the idea of moving to a foreign country and the costs that are involved in that are pretty significant. So it always felt kind of like a far off dream, maybe something that I would do after I had been successful here and had managed to save a bunch of money. Maybe then I'd be able to do it. But then I started to learn more about the different opportunities that are out there for people who are in my kind of position. And I looked into it a lot more. Now, as I grew older and I started learning more about various cultures, I really gravitated towards Asian culture in general, but specifically toward Korean life. I'll probably do a separate video talking more about why that is, but basically that's just because in a lot of ways, Asian culture is very opposite to American culture. Like the things that are most highly valued are different from us. And to go along with wanting that experience and to better myself as a person, it's a very intriguing idea for me to be able to live with people of that mindset. One of the biggest examples for me is valuing independence, right? Like, I think everyone in the world thinks of independence as a good quality, but what they consider independent is different in every culture, right? So here in America, when you're 18, you basically get kicked out of your family and you're on your own. You might get some minimal help. I mean, there's always a few exceptions, but generally you'll get minimal help from your parents, but you are on your own to struggle and figure it out. For me, I was doing that at 16. So I grew up that way. I grew up really hating to ask my parents for any kind of financial help. I still don't like it. You do everything on your own. I've worked 3 jobs at one time just to pay the bills and live in the shabbiest place I could live, but I survived that way, right? I'm putting myself through school right now, and I have been. And it's one of those things where that's being able to pay for things yourself and having your own home and having your own car and all of that. We're a very materialistic society, and so we place a lot of emphasis on that, and we consider that being an independent person. Whereas maybe in Asian culture, you can still be an independent person in that you have your own life and your own friends, and you do really well at your job and whatever the case may be, but you are still very family oriented. A lot of people live with their parents until they get married, sometimes even after that, and then often as they get older, their parents move back in with them when they need to be taken care of. And that whole culture is just very different. And you see influences of that in daily life, in how the work culture has been formed, in just courtesy for people on the bus and the train station. America is just in general a selfish country. Now, not to say that being selfish is always a bad thing, because it's not, and not to say I don't love my own country, because I just want to throw this out there. I do. I love America. I think there's a lot of great things about America. However, I am not blind to its faults. And I say the same for every country I've ever studied. Countries all have good and bad things to them. And for me, as I got older and I grew as a person and I learned more about these other countries and the languages and just kind of everything, Korea felt like the right fit. Now, I decided that probably 5 years ago. I knew that that's where I wanted to go. I just didn't really know how to get there or for how long I wanted to stay. I looked into quite a few different things. The first thing that I looked into was just going there to learn the language, right? Because I've always wanted to be fluent in a foreign language, and the foreign language education in America is horrible. Unless you maybe want to go into Spanish and possibly French, you're not going to have a lot of opportunities to stick with one language throughout your entire education life. So I always wanted to learn a foreign language, and I found out about this program that's called Go Hanguk. I will place a link in the description if anybody wants to check that out. But basically, you pay a certain amount of money. Make sure you also pay for your own living expenses because they don't provide that. But you go from anywhere from like a summer to maybe a 6-month or even a year, and you go live in Korea, and all you do is attend one of the universities through this program, and you learn Korean. You're in Korean classes for like 20 hours a week, I think is what it is. And it's like a cram course in the language, and it helps you because you're in Korea, you're surrounded by it all the time, so you're really getting to practice with your friends that you meet and ordering at restaurants and what have you. So I was really interested in that program, and I thought for sure that that's what I was going to do. But like I said, I'm poor, and the idea of having to save that much money was really daunting. I was on my way to do it, and family emergencies happened, and I just wasn't able to do it. So then I kind of turned to, okay, well, what are my other options, right? Do I really want to spend all of this money just to go for a year? That was kind of the other thing too, was I was like, is that really going to give me what I want out of my experience here? And I came around to the answer that that's not really all that I wanted. For what I want in my life, I want to start a life somewhere. I want to experience something new, and I don't really want to come back. That was a weird thing for me to realize, but I want to give wherever I go next. I want that to be like my shot at putting down roots and not leaving again. Like I said in the beginning, I've traveled a lot. I've moved my whole life, and the idea of really settling in somewhere is really appealing to me. So with all of that in mind, I started doing some research in what it takes, what kind of jobs are available over there for foreigners. Obviously, English teaching is one of them, but it's not my end goal. It may be something that I have to do in the beginning for a year or so to get over there and finalize my Korean language skills, but it's not my main goal. Like, I really wanted a career. I wanted a degree in something that would last me for the rest of my life, and I wanted it to be, you know, something I liked doing, but also financially stable, and I ended up in marketing. Marketing is a really, I guess, broad degree. There's so many different kinds of jobs that you can do with a marketing degree. And for me, particularly on the global international scale, it adapts to that like cake. So that's my end goal. I want to work in the marketing field in Korea. Now, to do that, you have to have a 4-year degree. So I went back to school, and I decided to pursue that, which is where I'm at right now. Like I said, I have this semester and next year to go, and that's it. I got 14 weeks left of this semester and 2 semesters after that, and then I'm done, which is crazy. Now, I do plan on pursuing a master's degree eventually, but I'm probably going to do that online a couple of years from now, like once I'm settled, or maybe go to a school in Korea once my language skills are high enough, do it that way. But for now, what I want to get my degree finished, and I want to get to Korea. I want to really start my life. My life has definitely kind of been on hold until I've never really felt like I could settle in wherever I was, because I always saw the next move coming, and I'm still kind of in that position. So for the moment, my whole focus is just work and school. That's all I do. But I wanted to do something creative, and I wanted to bring people on my journey with me and kind of chronologize, like, what is the word I'm looking for? I don't know, but I wanted to have a video recording of what I've experienced and where I'm headed. So that is me in a nutshell. That's why I am moving to Korea. So for this channel, I'm gonna be doing maybe sometimes rant videos like this, where I just kind of talk to you about various subjects. I am also learning how to cook right now. I did not grow up a cook. I told you I left home really early. I was never really taught before then. I knew very limited things. I'm really good about cooking out of a can kind of a deal. I could chop up a bean salad. I knew how to stir fry chicken, and I could make tacos, and that was like the extent of my culinary skills. So my stepdad he is a phenomenal cook, and he's kind of taken me under his wing and been teaching me how to cook a little bit since I've been here. And for Christmas, I actually got a Korean cookbook that I've been working my way through. I'm gonna film some of the times when I'm cooking out of those recipes and share them with you guys, because I will not be afraid to share my mistakes, because there's definitely some stupid questions I ask sometimes. I make some really silly mistakes too. But so far, the dishes that I've made have turned out pretty good. I've already filmed a couple of those for you guys, because I wasn't quite ready to film an intro yet, but I still wanted you guys to see my first attempts at cooking Korean cuisine. So I've been doing that. I thought those would be fun. I might even do a K-pop reaction here and there. That's certainly not going to be my main channel, but I have a lot of favorite groups, and maybe when they release something new, I might react to it. I've seen basically everything. So it doesn't make sense for me to start a reaction channel. I don't really have a whole lot of backlog to work through, so there's that. Speaking of K-pop, just so you know, I didn't get into Korean pop music until just a couple years ago. Well, it's been, I think, since 2015 now, so it's been longer than I feel like, but I got into that when I started looking into learning the language. People were recommending reading along with the lyrics in Hangul to learn how to properly pronounce things and to read the alphabet. So I've really only officially been learning the Korean language for about 2 years now, 2.5 years. But I was teaching myself a little bit here and there, certain phrases, and really learning the alphabet and how to read along with that since about the end of 2015. Yeah, so that's me, that's my story. From here, I'm probably gonna film a couple more episodes and start posting these for you guys. But if you have any specific topics that you're wondering about me and my journey, or if you want me to describe more about why Korea, what it is that I like about it, I am gonna talk about the time I got to visit Korea, and where I'm at in my language and what I've done so far. I'll leave all of those resources for you guys, but I just wanted to introduce myself now, let you guys meet me, see who I am, and then from here, you can tell me what you want to see next, and I'll see if I can do it. But thank you all for coming, and I hope that we have a great time together on this journey to Korea. Bye for now.